Welcome back to another episode of Two Types of People. I am Pat Sitkins, and today for a cameo coming around the Larry Linne episode, we have Andy Neary with me. Andy, thanks for coming on.
You bet. Looking forward to this, Pat.
Yeah, so we were catching up right before we hit record, found out we've got something in common, two former collegiate pitchers, and so we were talking about some summer ball stuff and up there in Wisconsin. So, Andy, I want to get right to it, and there are two types of people in this world. What are they?
There are starters and there are closers. And I use that analogy as a pitcher. It's actually personal to me because when I got the chance to play a little professional baseball, I went from being a starter my whole career to a middle reliever to not a closer. But and in pitching, those are two different things. And I look at it in the world of business too. There's a big difference between starters and closers. I think starters do a great job of talking. Closers are the ones who execute. And, we're here talking about Larry. I mean, one of the things that have stuck out to me the most with Larry is the man has been doing this for 30, 40 years. And I heard him on a podcast recently with a mutual connection where he said, even to this day, as long as he's run his business and as successful as he's been, every morning he still goes and checks his pipeline for 30 minutes. And that to me is a closer. It's the people who put the work in when nobody's watching and they just execute. They don't have to flash the talk in front of you and tell you what they're doing. They just go about and do it. And to me, that's the biggest difference in business success today is there are starters, people who love to talk about it, and then there's the closers, the people who just do it.
I love that. I love the baseball tie-in. As you were talking there, I was thinking about my buddy Gordy Gronkowski Jr. He and I played at JU together, and I did an interview with him around this as well. And his was one of the things we talked about in the interview was you can either talk about it or you can be about it. And so very similar to what you're saying here. And I agree. I did a little bit of everything from starting, middle relief, closing. So I know very much the mentality, the preparation, everything that goes into doing those different roles. So let me ask you this. As you made that transition, not only from college ball to professional ball, but also changing that role, what was the biggest thing that surprised you in making that transition?
I think it was the routine. And honestly, I feel like it hurt me a little bit. When you're a starter, Pat, right? You get it. You have your whole routine that how you get ready for a game. And mine usually used to start like an hour before I'd get into the bullpen. As a closer, it's, get up, start warming up. This guy's having trouble. You might be in 5 minutes. And oh, by the way, you're coming in 1 out, guys on second and third. I think it's just a very different level of urgency around the preparation. And some love it, some struggle. I learned to adapt to it, but man, I'll tell you, early on in my playing, my professional career, that was a struggle at first.
So I know you focus a lot on sales, specifically with insurance producers. What is the one thing that you could point to? So if you've got a group of, let's say, 100 producers, what is that one characteristic where you can point to them and say, that guy or that lady is a closer because of this?
Probably going to go against what somebody might say, but I'm going to say curiosity. Explain. I don't think it's closing technique. I don't think, because, I had a lot of success in sales, but I'm also a big time introvert. And so it's not like I was born with the gift of gab or the gift to sell catch up to women in white gloves. But I do think it's the curiosity, the students of the game. I go back to I've had people ask me, like, why do you think there's so many good athletes in sales? And it's because they know how to put the work in when nobody's watching. You couldn't have played at Jacksonville without that, right? And I think that to me is that skill set. When I see somebody who's curious and they just have a passion for getting better, and by the way, they don't just do that with sales. They do that with their health. They do that with their family. They do that with everything. That to me is somebody is going to go a far way.
Absolutely. No, I totally agree with that. I have one of the chapters in the book has D. Brown, who played at JU, 91 slam dunk champ. And that's right, the no look, the inventor of the dab, perhaps. And he talks about exactly what you're saying. It's the legends that he got to play with, the Michael Jordans, the Larry Birds, and the D. Browns, who put in the work when no one was looking. And he talked about getting 1% better every day. So whether that's your sales career, trying to be a better parent, whatever it is. It's about putting in that work. It's, hey, there's nothing wrong in today's day and age with putting it on social and, a little social cred here and there, but it's about the people that can actually back it up, because everyone can talk about ideas and have great, business ideas and all this great stuff. But when it comes down to, especially in sales, it's all about closing.
It's funny you bring that up, Pat, because I heard Gary Vaynerchuk say this once, Gary V, and it's stuck with me for years, which is you can fake 90% of the people below you. You can't fake the 10% above you. And I think with social media, it is easy for people to fake out the people who follow them because most of the people aren't at their level. But the people who still are sitting above you looking down, you can't fake those people. And I'll be honest, even when I'm putting stuff out there or building my brand, I think of the people in our industry, the guys who've done it for years, a Larry Linne. And I sit there and I go, I know I can't fake out these people, so I've got to be true to who I am. And I think that's where social media has allowed the talkers to look extremely successful. But the people who put in the work, you're not faking them at all.
I love that. We talk about that, the Determined Society, a lot. So I do want to end with one thing, Andy, if you don't mind. And this is maybe the perfect interview to do it. Sean French and I were talking one day offline, and we were talking about something, I think it was probably around the College World Series, because he played in. I said, hey, buddy, I said, what was your walk-up song? He said, oh, it was, this, and you know how that goes, right? And so we have implemented that both on Two Types and at the Determined Society. And it doesn't obviously have to be a walk-up song, because not everyone got to play and have their own walk-up song, but it's really about the way that music fuels your life, and people attach to moments and they can say, oh, it's this song. And I am so guilty of that with my kids. I even apologized to my son the other day. I was like, I'm sorry. I keep saying like, this was in high school. This was in middle school. I know you don't care, but it means something to me. So Andy, 2 questions, but we'll start with one. What was your walk-up song in college?
Being a pitcher, I didn't have a walk-up song.
You didn't have one come in like to start the game?
Especially as a start, but I will share this. If I had one, here's what it's going to be, because it happened at one of my low moments. We're playing at Oklahoma State to begin the year. I give up an absolute bomb. And as the guy's rounding first, they play You Dropped a Bomb on Me by the Gap Band. And I just remember standing out on the mound like, that's good. And so if I had and by the way, when I played a little, rec ball after my career was over. That was my walk-up song when I came up to bat, was You Dropped a Bomb on Me. So hands down, it'd be You Dropped a Bomb on Me.
I'm disappointed you didn't have a song. They didn't let you have one to start the games.
You got to understand, Pat, we played at a mid-major D1. If you looked at the field, I'll share that. You looked at the field we played at, we would have contests during the game. What are we going to see more of, runs or ambulance drive-bys, because of the location of our field? So we didn't have that high-tech stuff in college.
Well, I love that, man. So what we've done is we've taken that conversation, like I said, we ask all our guests, and we started a playlist on Spotify. So anyone that's watching and paying attention to this episode, if you go out to Spotify and search The Frequency, you'll see the Determined Society little thumbnail there. And we've got hype songs from high performers, and it's something I use at the gym all the time or just driving around. So Andy, we'll add that one, and every time that comes on, I'm going to think about you standing out on a mound, man, and I'll get a smile on my face. So Andy, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for obviously speaking about Two Types, but also just giving Larry Linne a little bit of the recognition he deserves, and this bit of content with him and his episode. And I look forward to seeing more from you. This has been fun.
Appreciate that, Pat. Thanks for giving me the opportunity.
Absolutely.